Hi. This is my second video this morning, and I know where I'm at. I know what's going on with me, and it's taken me a while to get here. So, bait this is psych soup. We're just psych soup. I am on imagination of the healing garden, and I've been working on the healing garden now for about a year. It was April of 2022 that I first came up with the concept of the healing garden, what I wanted to do, and my purpose. And bottom line, I am a content creator. That is what I do. I have a stupid amount of information and knowledge that I have saved up after 28 years of this endeavor. And I've been getting a lot of noise outside bombarding me with, "Oh, this is what you should do. This is what you need to do. This is," and it's there's so much noise that I'm just kind of pushing everybody away now going, "I really need everybody to just stop giving me advice." Which is what the argument was with my father yesterday was one more person started to give me unsolicited advice. And I realized that for every advice I got, it was actually a belief that was being crammed into my cognitive core. So I need clarity. I'm in a place in my life right now where I feel like I don't feel like I'm at a crossroad. I just need to know what this road is. And I I used to play a lot of video games, and I feel like I'm in Skyrim. Yeah, yeah, Skyrim. And I'm wandering around and the map is blank, and it's the first time I'm playing the game, not the 80th time I'm playing the game. And I'm walking around the map going, "Okay, what's over here? What's over here?" And I'm trying to see the big picture. And I think that's where I'm at is I just concluded the way of the Buddha. I have done manifestation. I did my walkabout. I've done my healing. I did the whole, this is my favorite part. What was the purpose of all of this? What was the meaning of my trauma, which is the final stage of healing? Why did the trauma happen to you? This is the one part I will not talk about. That answer, you have to figure out. That is something I'm adamant about. I will never talk to you about what my trauma meant to me, why it happened, because I am a firm believer. No, there's it's not negotiable. That will not be talked about. That is your test for when your healing is done. When you decide, when you realize, when you learn, when you can figure out why the abuse happened to you. That is your final exam. When you've gone through that process and you have your answer, you are healed. Boom, official stamp of health. So I've done that. And now I'm here. And I'm going, okay, so what's next for me? And I know I've got the healing garden and I'm going, all right, I've got this plethora of knowledge. Let's just dump it into the internet and turn it into content. And I got a lot to cover. So I'm fine with that and I'm enjoying it and I love it. And I'm trying to figure out how to monetize it. But in order to do that, I have to go through I have to look at the big picture, adjust my perspective, and go, what the fuck just happened? Because that's where I'm at. I am at the what the fuck just happened stage. Yeah, this is me coming out of the way of the Buddha. So I have my son, my daughter, and my mom, and my partner who's currently on walkabout. That makes sense to me. My partner is currently on walkabout. That makes sense to me. See, this is why I do these videos. Now, I have been talking to myself since I was 8 years old. Since my multiple personalities started to split, I've been integrated now for like 4 years, 4 years, 4 months. But I have this habit of talking to myself. The voices just aren't there anymore. Yeah, the voices aren't there anymore. So I can't sit in front of a mirror and have a conversation with Colin or imagination or Berrigan. Yeah, I miss them sometimes. No, they're still there though. It's really different. So now I'm going, okay, I want to talk to somebody. And I have the whole internet. right there listening. So I'm going, well, why not just talk to them? And I have to create content anyway. So I'm piecemealing this together to placate my needs. And my needs right now is Psych Soup. Psych Soup, I'm realizing, is my research corner. This is where this part where I just talk to people and figure shit out because this is how I work out my problems. This is how I've been working out my problems for 34 years. So I have Psych Soup now. And I've got Perspective Shifts, my podcast, where I sit down and I analyze really hardcore into the science of perspective and psychology. And then I have my Witch's Corner, where I get into the ethereal world and I get into spirituality and manifestation, because that's part of this. And I would definitely say I've got 4 parts to the garden. And this is me sorting out in my head, what am I doing here? What am I building? And that's it, is I have this research side, this Psych Soup, where I talk about, hey, this is the problem I have right now. Because while I'm on level 67, learning level 67, a lot of people are coming to me and they're at level 0, 5, 10, at level 25. And every person I have a conversation with, I'll sit down and I'll have a 10-minute conversation with them and I'll go, okay, I got where you are in the healing process. And being at level 67 is like this whole other level of, well, yeah, I've done the exam. I figured out why the trauma happened. I understand its meaning. I understand its purpose. And now I'm here and I'm building the healing garden because I have to vomit all of this information out there. This is my calling. This is what I do. You don't do this for 34 years and then just go, okay, now I'm going to get a job and just live a quiet life. You can't do that. Healing is my life. And I'm patient number 1. I'm patient 0. That's it. I'm patient 0. And everything that I teach other people is what worked for me. It's not going to work for everybody. And that's something that I really need to clarify. It's not going to work for everybody. So you might come into the garden, take 5 minutes and be like, this isn't for me. Okay, it's not for everyone. It's for my people. And if you're not my people, in all kind regards, get out. But if you are my people, hey, I got stuff here that might help you. And some people are half of my people. Some people are all of my people. I got people who are like, oh my God, and they just completely consume all of my material. I have other people where they cherry pick, hey, this applies to me. So this is what I used. This is what I learned when I had to heal from astronomical garbage and suffering. Here you go. And yeah, that's what I'm building here. And I was not planning on acknowledging my research side of it. That's what my blog is about, Exploratory Dialogues. That's my research side. So I have my blogs and I have my vlogs, my blogs and my vlogs, Psych Soup, and I have Exploratory Dialogues. And that's where I dump all the research side of me. That's where I'm going, okay, so this is what's up now. This is what I'm studying now. This is what I'm learning now. This is what I'm analyzing now. And then I have my Facebook group where I inspire and I provide positivity and I'm basically feeding the positive vortex. And that's where I make my announcements. And it's where I accumulate everybody so I can then filter out who I need. So when I have an announcement like, hey, classroom is opening up, class is in session, we're going to go over here to a healing exercise with shadow work. If you're interested in learning shadow work, get there, which I'm doing right now. Actually, I'm doing Shadow Work 101, which is a classroom. So I use Facebook groups as classrooms to sit down and teach people, okay, this is how shadow work is done. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's a course that you have to purchase. But I do have Tuning into Your Power with Goddess training coming up. That's coming up in July. And I also have a live, this is actually in person, workshop with Triadic Healing. And Triadic Healing is absolutely that's my brand, Expert. That's what I do. Triadic Healing is where I talk about um, the psychology side, my research side, and that's cognitive core. And then I focus more into the alignment of the energy and how intuition and spirituality plays into your healing. And then I have your conscious mind, you, where you're not aware of what's going on. You have no clue what's going on. Most people don't, because half of this material, the cognitive core, isn't even developed yet. I just made it. Well, I've made it for the last 28 years, and now I'm giving it to people. So once you understand what the cognitive core is and how it works, you can start plugging that knowledge into your own subconsciousness and go, oh, that's what's going on. And now you can be mindful of it. So that's really it is it's basically helping you raise awareness, being mindful of how the subconscious mind works, being mindful of the cognitive core, its processing, how it works, what's involved with processing. That's the cognitive core. That's the psychology part of it. And then I've got the spiritual side of it, that there's two sides to that. There's the I've been doing this my whole life, but I've been doing it without awareness. So I'm now becoming aware of what it is I've been doing. I've been channeling for 40 years and I had no idea what channeling was. So I'm learning about the terminology. I'll be sitting there talking to a group of people who are pros at this stuff. And it's weird because they'll tell me that I'm really tuned in and my energy is substantial, but I lack the vocabulary. So I don't know I'm channeling. And I'll be sitting there like I went to a workshop and everyone in there was ethereal gifted. And I was channeling. So I was writing out the work assignments before they were being assigned. And she would announce the work assignment and I showed her. And she went, "You are channeling everything." And I was like 30 minutes ahead of her. Everything she said, I was 30 minutes ahead because I was channeling. Now that I understand that, it's like, oh, so I'm bringing my conscious mind up to awareness. So the conscious mind basically lays dormant. Again, the conscious mind is all you and it's dormant, it lays under here. And as we develop knowledge, as we gain education, information, and awareness, we raise our mindfulness game and the conscious mind starts playing up on this level. Everyone's Most everyone is down here. This is where the rat race is. So the subconscious and the ethereal arts are all up here doing their magic, and the conscious mind is literally being puppeted. 95% of your life choices, according to the CDC and NIM, are controlled by your subconscious mind. So if you're not aware, you're a puppet. You are Jerry's little bitch. This was the motivation it took for me to go, oh, fuck that shit. I'm going to change this now. I didn't want to be Jerry's little bitch. So I stepped up my game. I raised my conscious awareness from here to here, which is the third part of my triadic healing is raising your mindfulness, raising your game, getting your consciousness, or I'm sorry, yeah, you're getting your consciousness on the same page as your subconsciousness and your spirituality. And then there's people going, well, I don't need spirituality. You are significantly handicapping yourself. Religion is not spirituality. And this, my ego, my arrogance, delayed this acknowledgement for decades, which is why I am now at a significant disadvantage when it comes to the ethereal arts, understanding what's going on. Now I'm stepping up my game. Now I'm going, oh, there is something here. Oh, the energy pool is real. Oh, we tap into this all the time and we don't even know it. That's what intuition is doing. Intuition is you tapping into the spirituality of the energy pool and you working off of that. That whole I'm just following my gut. Well, guess what? You're doing spiritual stuff. You can't follow your gut, follow your instinct, listen to your gut, or follow your heart and then deny spirituality. That is exactly what it is. You are channeling your intuition, your spirituality. So, and we got to get the conscious mind on the same page. So, this is triadic healing. And I'm realizing, and there's this war that's been going on in our society between religion and science, atheism and science. I'm sorry, atheism and religion, science and religion. There's this war going on between what's right, what's wrong between spirituals and atheists. And it's all a spectrum. It really is a spectrum. And as a result, and even within the faithful, within the religious world, they're all fighting over which religion, which interpretation is right. And it's noise. And that's what I learned when I did the way of the Buddha was that the energy pool is very real. Scientists are proving it and studying it and have found it since 1950. And they call it something different. And every religion in the world has found it. Every culture in the world has found the energy pool and has tapped into it. And now they're all arguing over what it's called. They're all arguing over how it's interpreted. And what I see, and this is my spirituality, what I see is this giant energy pool where a piece just clicked into place and it just shifted my perspective. And I have gained understanding of a situation that I'm in, which is why I'm doing Psych Soup. It's because I needed to talk so I can gain the big picture. And I just unblocked another part of my map. I have spent so much time in one perspective that I have failed to see the bigger picture. And I lost perspective. I lost who I am while I was empowering myself. I don't know what my pillars are. I do not know what my pillars are. I have no idea what they are. I know my ethics. I know my beliefs. I know my identity. I know my love. I know my purpose now. But my love is on walkabout. And I feel empty and I miss him. And I don't know how long he's going to be on walkabout. But I miss him. And it's really hard when the person you love has to curl into themselves and find themselves. And I feel like I'm on the outside, just waiting for him to come back. And it's like he's the sun. And I really just miss the sun. And I have studied every butt crack in psychology and every culture and every opinion and every concept of love that there is. And everyone's got an opinion on the right way to love, the wrong way to love. And in the meantime, I got to make sense of this because I can't go forward until I understand. Because I have a belief, like 10 different beliefs that I've been given, and they're all being pushed into my cognitive core. And I have no choice but to accept them and process them. And it requires that I'm away from the person I love right now. And that's hard. And no matter how much I have suffered, this one hurts more than anything. And no matter how much comfort I seek, I can't heal from this because it's cold and it's winter. And I miss my sunlight. And I can't stop. I can't pause. I have to keep going. I have to make money. I have to manifest. I have to put this thing together. I have to build a garden. No, this is where things get real. This is where I stop pretending to be perfect. This is where I don't show you my best face. This is research. I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. No teacher does. And I take on way too much, believing that I have to know everything in order to teach people. That's more of that useless information that I was given. You got to take care of yourself before you can teach other people to heal. Bullshit. No, I'm level 67. Doesn't mean you know the answers. It means I know the answers for where you are. That's what it means. I am fucking qualified to teach people about suffering. And sometimes it's really hard to practice my own stuff. Sometimes I'm depressed and I'm having bad days and I can't get out of bed. Hell, a week ago I was struggling with suicide because I'm human. My partner was on the phone with me, talking me through it. And right now he has got to find himself. And I, above everybody else, appreciates that. But good fucking God, do I miss him. And this right now is about me learning how to do the work I need to work when it rains and when it's cold out and when there's no sunlight and when I don't know when the sun's going to come back and shine. And I cannot imagine how hard it is for him right now. So this is me saying I want him to talk to me again. And all I can do is distract myself with work and get comfort out of that at least. And just be so grateful when he comes back. And I have learned so much about love. And when you do your healing, suddenly your standards raise. That's really the difference between level 67 and level 5. Your standards. You get to a point where your standards are so damn high. I have my daughter, my son, and my mom. And they have to be on my frequency. And if they don't match my frequency, they won't be in my life. And it doesn't matter if they're blood related. Now, I'll support them, but they're not allowed to abuse me, which is why my oldest daughter is not in my life. I love her. Once she stops being a narcissist and stops abusing me, she's allowed back in. She would rather prejudge me and damn me than learn. Yeah, I have upped my game. And I have gained a healthy environment. I think that's all we are wanting in life is a healthy environment. Yeah, that's the goal in life. Give me healthy environments. I want a healthy society. I want a healthy existence. And that's really it. That is the pursuit of my happiness. I seek healthy environments. You know, it's interesting because we don't really, to put it into words like that is a lot. Healthy environments. And what makes a healthy environment? Well, I have my frequency. And that frequency tells me my song. And now it's just a matter of cherry picking what pieces and what notes go into my music and my song. My son is on my frequency. My youngest daughter, at times, she definitely, I mean, and everyone has their own frequency. It's just my son's song matches mine, harmonizes with mine very beautifully. My youngest daughter, her song matches with mine. It's a different frequency, but it matches with mine. My mom, she matches my frequency. The love of my life has to figure out his song. And that's where he is right now. He is on walkabout. And being able to think about it like that, it really helps. It is showing me all the ways that I don't need him. It is showing me all the things I can do without him. When that man walks into a room, it's like a party starts every time. For me, I'm the same way. Whenever I walk into a room, it's like someone just bursts out. And for him, it's the way our frequency is. Every time he and I come together, it's like somebody just started the party. The problem is we partied all the time. And now he's got to figure out how much he wants me in his life. He's just got a lot to figure out. And I got my garden to figure out. And it's not a question of if I'm going to do the garden. Oh, that's long past. I'm doing the garden. Where else am I going to put all this information? This is why I wrote books. I ended up with a stupid amount of knowledge, and I went, what am I going to do with all this stupid amount of knowledge? I'm going to put it into books. So I became an author. I published 2 books, 2 fantasy novels, and then I published Zombies from Space and Vampires. Yes, that is my book. It's on Amazon. And then I published Broken. That was a game changer. Broken was my life work. Like, okay, this is my thesis. This is who I am. It was in 2015. And it made me realize that my calling is this. And I became a content creator. And I know there's a lot of content creators out there, but I'm different. Oh, I am so damn different. I am as different as they come. So I have some of that noise that came in from other people. They're going, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. And it's like, guys, shut the fuck up. Don't tell me what I need to do. Don't tell me what content. And I didn't realize that that's where I was going with this. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast. I do my research department where I'm learning as I go, but I'm learning at level 67. That's where I'm at. By the way, that's how many milestones I've had. 67 milestones. It's when you start making milestones that you go, oh. And I'm at the end of that chapter. 8 years of healing, almost to the day. It feels great. But now that I've healed, I'm going, great, now what do I do with this information? And that's where the garden comes in. It allows me to process everything I learned. So I have psych soup. I have exploratory dialogues. I realized I have a very serious, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's analyze truth. Let's analyze the psychology behind the narcissist. Let's pull this apart. Let's question the norm, because it's really what I'm doing. There's a whole field of psychology out there, and I don't agree with it because I took their shit and I applied it and it got me nowhere. Cognitive behavioral therapy worked, and that was it. That was it. They got wrong the stages of grief. They got wrong the stages of grief. I'm saying it. They fucked it up. I came up with something that worked so much better for me. Talk therapy. Whose idea was it to sit down and trauma dump and emotional flood somebody? Stupid. So, and then 50% of the people who come to me are like, I've done therapy, it doesn't work. I know. Been there too. I know it doesn't work. That's why I have this, because it doesn't work. And because my trauma was so substantial that talk therapy was a fucking joke. No, it was the cognitive behavioral therapy that worked. That's something valid. But cognitive behavioral therapy doesn't focus on the trauma. It diverts it and actually focuses on the positive. But they teach you to do this while they want you to trauma dump. So yeah, I started pulling apart everything that they said worked, and I went, "No, this is wrong, this is wrong." And then I accessed my little PTSD trigger there with my logic, going, "That doesn't logically check out. That's not logically checking out. This is logically checking out. We're going to keep this." So I filtered everything out with psychology, and now I've got this thing that's my own, and I'm basically putting it out there saying, "All right, let's do this. This is everything I've learned." And now I have to organize it. And that's what the garden is. I'm organizing all of the shit that I've got in my head. But I can't stop learning. I can't stop growing. I will always be growing. I will always be learning. Part of me wants to call this place the Library of Alexandria, in ode to the Alexandrian Gardens. Maybe that's what I'll call it, the Alexandrian Gardens. Yeah, Alexandria. I guess that's what I'm creating here. The Alexandrian Gardens, the library at Alexandria, was actually a university. It was a university and a museum. The library was not a library, it was a museum. They, Alexandria, had first of all, you had the lighthouse at Alexandria, one of the largest lighthouses in the world. The largest lighthouse in the world. It is one of the seven wonders of the world, the lighthouse of Alexandria. It would welcome the ships into port. It was located at the Fertile Crescent, Alexandria. And the soldiers from the university, from the Library of Alexandria, would go through and confiscate every written word, grocery lists, love letters. If you wrote it, they took it. It would go to the library. You would get a ticket, and it would go to the library. And there would be scribes there. And the scribes would copy it down. And then they would and then you had to go to the library and hand them your ticket. And when you handed them their ticket, they gave you the copy of whatever it is you brought into port. Not the letter itself, not the grocery list itself. You got the copy. They kept the original, and they filed it in the Library of Alexandria, which was set on fire more than 6 times. The last time, everything was destroyed. I think. I think that it was actually relocated to Solomon's Temple, but that's a whole nother hypothesis. But the library was where the students of the university would go to study the cultures of the world. And Alexandria was the largest port along the Silk Road. Wrap your head around that. So every written document that passed through the Silk Roads had to stop at Alexandria, did stop at Alexandria. Okay, not everywhere. There were other routes you could take, but Alexandria was the largest port. And when you stopped in at Alexandria, anyone who walked in there with any kind of written material, you were searched and it was taken and you were given a ticket. That is Alexandria. Batzabai was the queen of Alexandria. The last reported sighting of her after Rome invaded Alexandria. That's when the library was burned to the ground. And out of punishment, they stripped Batsabai naked, put gold chains on her, and made her walk naked through the uh, through the streets of Alexandria. That was the last time she was seen. So that's why I'm building here an ode to Alexandria. That's what the healing garden is. There's a lot of love for Alexandria here. It's why I have the lighthouse in the workshop. In one of my workshops, I have Welcome Home. It's time to come home, and it's because of Alexandria, the lighthouse of Alexandria. And yeah, I'm turning it into a full library of, okay, these are all the documentations. This is everything I've learned. So yeah, I guess I'm just trying to figure out what my pillars are. Love. Love is one of my pillars. Identity. That's another one of my pillars. That's the primary pillar, actually. Yeah. Love. Identity. Love is not an emotion. Love is a state of being. Oh, I have a lot to say about love. It's not an emotion. Emotions are temporary. Love is not. Think about it. Emotions change in reflection to what's happening around you. Love does not. In 1990, I woke up to my mom crying, and we were 2 hours late for school. And my mom explained that there was a car accident that happened, and it killed my uncle and three of my cousins 1 week after my aunt gave birth to her son. We tried going to school. The grief was substantial. That was 1990. My aunt still loves her daughters, her oldest son, and her husband, who all died in that crash. So don't you fucking tell me that love is an emotion. Because if those were emotions, they wouldn't be there. Her love for them wouldn't be there. Love is not an emotion. Love is a state of being. It doesn't change. There's a lot of other feelings and emotions that come and go. Other feelings and emotions that people associate because what they were taught was love isn't love. Real love is a state of being, and it does not change. I have a lot to say on the subject of love. So, yes, love is one of my pillars. Identity is my primary pillar. I want to say the nature is another pillar, but this one exists outside of me. And my intuition just asked, does it? Is it outside of you? So we're going to put the universe is one of my pillars because it is. It's the intuition. I think we have significantly misunderstood love, and we are pursuing it on this whole other level. And I'm up here at level 67 after the way of the Buddha. And I'm looking at love going, wow, we have really fucked up what we think is love, guys. I'm going to be talking a lot about love over the next month. Wow. Wow. We have really fucked up our comprehension of love. So, understanding these pillars, now you can build a foundation. And I think that's it. I do have these pillars. I have love and identity of the self. I have the nature, and I have the universe. And I have this full comprehension now, and these 4 solid pieces. 2 of them I am certain of. The other 2, I'm still not sure if those are my pillars, but I have pillars. We all have pillars. And then you're laying a foundation on top of it. And you need to make sure that you're giving love and attention to each of your pillars and maintaining each pillar. That way you can build a stronger foundation. And that's what I am building the healing garden on. Purpose. Purpose, I want to say, is a pillar. Purpose, which is the healing garden in my case. So yeah, I guess you would call it your career. Your career, self-love, and love itself for others. Love, self-love, and your career. And your career is your purpose. I'm figuring this out, guys. I'm figuring it out. This is pure philosophy. This is what I do. I have this thing inside of me that just screams at me constantly. Anna, just do what you do. Just tell people. Just give it to them. We'll take care of the rest. We'll take care of it. You need money? We'll get you money. You just do what you need to do. Focus on building the garden. You just focus on the garden. You figure out the garden, you put the pieces in place, and you just do the garden. You become obsessed with the garden because it's my purpose. And I'm trying to do the garden, but I've got my sunlight on walkabout. And I have myself finally figured out and healed and put together. And it's not just me versus me. I have this figured out now. And I can't tell if it's a box, 4 pillars, or if it's a triangle. I want to say it's a triangle. I want to say it's a triad. I really want to say it's a triad. It keeps coming back to that triad with the love, the self, and purpose. Love, self, and purpose. And I'm saying all of this to you. And one room over, Hey Daniel is my book by Nathaniel Branden, Self-Esteem. Hey Daniel, I'm going to have my son bring it to me because It's on my mind and I'm thinking about it and I'm going, aha, I'm starting to understand this now. Yeah, I'm starting to get this. Yeah, there's just a lot of noise out there. And that's part of healing is literally d- cutting out the noise, making sure that there's literally it's rejecting the noise and just pushing the noise out there. I think my son has his headphones in so he can't hear me. So, yeah, I'll just let you into my brain. Maybe that's all I should be doing. Let you into my brain, show you what's inside my head. I love Ayn Rand, adore her. And when I was studying philosophy, there was a lot of stuff with Ayn Rand that I just devoured. As a philosopher, there's a lot that Ayn Rand had right. As a person who required to heal psychologically speaking, she needed a lot of work. So, Ayn Rand was extraordinary in the areas of philosophy, and a lot of her philosophy gave ground to a lot of my own philosophy. Carl Jung contributed to my philosophy. Yeah, I very much am Ayn Rand and Carl Jung. Those are my two primary philosophers that I have built my philosophy foundation on. So if you ever wonder what type of philosophy that I'm into, it's Ayn Rand and Carl Jung, both of whom, well, anyway, Ayn Rand, there were three. Okay, you know her. She had philosophical works, which is Anthem, which is Anthem, and We the People. And then she had fictional works where she tied a lot of her philosophy into the fiction, which is Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead, which are the same book. Fountainhead was like a rough draft of Atlas Shrugged. I recommend Atlas Shrugged. Oh my God, did I love Atlas Shrugged. But then she had a biography called The Passion of Ayn Rand, which was written by a woman by the name of Barbara Nathaniels. Barbara Nathaniels. I can't remember his name. Brandon. Barbara Brandon was her name. Barbara Brandon wrote this book, The Passion of Ayn Rand. Now, I read The Passion of Ayn Rand, and in the front of every one of her books, she had two dedications to Nathaniel and to Frank. Frank was her husband, Nathaniel was her lover. Now, I know all about Nathaniel Brandon. Nathaniel Brandon was, when he was in his 20s, he and Barbara were married. Ayn Rand actually attended their marriage ceremony, but Nathaniel and Ayn Rand ended up having an affair for 20 years. Barbara ended up later coming back after the affair ended, and Nathaniel went on with Patricia, I think was her name. And Barbara met up with Ayn Rand and then wrote the book. And so here I am. That was during my philosophy days when I was studying philosophy, and that's when I was into Ayn Rand and I read the biography, The Passion of Ayn Rand. And I learned about Barbara and Brandon, or I learned about, yeah, Barbara and Nathaniel. So here I am in the psychology world and I'm studying on self esteem, and I see this book written by Nathaniel Brandon. And I went, I know that name. Now, I didn't think about that. I just did the research and found out that the leading psychologist in the world of self esteem is Nathaniel Brandon. So I bought like three of his books because he's the leading psychologist on the study of self esteem. And I'm reading him and I'm going, Nathaniel Brandon. I know Nathaniel Brandon. How do I know Nathaniel Brandon? And it hits me halfway through, like I'm maybe a chapter in, and it dawns on me that Nathaniel Brandon, like I have memories coming up of a psychology student and a philosophy major who was a lover to Ayn Rand, and his wife was Barbara Brandon. And I went, no way. Yes, way. And there are chapters in the book in self esteem. The Four Pillars of Self Esteem is the name of the book. And Nathaniel Brandon talks about his affair with Ayn Rand. So when I was 18, 16, and 17, I'm reading Atlas Shrugged, and I'm reading Barbara Brandon's The Passion of Ayn Rand, and I'm reading about this really ugly 20-year affair told through the point of view of Ayn Rand and Barbara Brandon. 20 years later, I'm reading Nathaniel Brandon's self-esteem pillar book, and he gives his retelling of the affair with Ayn Rand. And I'm like, whoa, I get to see his perspective now. And I did. I got to read Nathaniel Brandon's perspective on his marital affair with Ayn Rand 20 years after I read Barbara Brandon's opinion of this is how when my husband cheated on me, and Ayn Rand going, this is the nightmare and the mess that was. And it was just like this massive, oh, my education has come full circle. It was like that time I was reading Catch 22 by Joseph Heller, and he references this captain who was a very good friend of his, Private Vonnegut, Kurt Vonnegut. And the very next book I read was Slaughterhouse Five by Kurt Vonnegut, where he references this Private Heller, Joseph Heller, who he served with in World War II. And I went, I have gone full circle. It was this wonderful, so I recommend some pieces of literature to you. Read Catch 22 by Joseph Heller and read Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse Five. They reference each other. It's really funny. And then it's a mind trip. And then I've got Atlas Shrugged, and then I have The Passion of Ayn Rand, and then I have by Barbara Brandon, and then I have Nathaniel Brandon's The Four Pillars of Self-Esteem. Now, The Four Pillars of Self-Esteem is actually one of the books that I recommend. I have a reading list, and he is one of them. He's on that list. I'll go ahead and throw it at you now. It's Nathaniel Brandon's The Four Pillars of Self-Esteem. It's Dr. Aziz's Not Nice, and it is the Seven Habits for Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Those three books are huge on my reading list. If you want to turn your life around, start with those three books. Both psych books, Dr. Aziz Gazipura and Nathaniel Brandon's Self-Esteem, don't talk about all the problems and all the things that have done with you and what happens if you have these mental conditions. They go, doesn't matter what mental conditions you have. Let's talk about your mommy and your daddy, because that's really what the problem is. And it is really what the problem is. But no one wants to look at what those problems are. There's this massive aversion of, don't talk to me about my parents. What are you avoiding? What are you avoiding? What are you afraid of? And I've done the word. It's textbook. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, this is a lot about finding me, figuring out my purpose. I've been on this road for a very long time, 8 years. I've been trying to find myself. And I have finally found myself. I've got this self, this love, and this purpose. Love. Love. Boy, have we really fucked it up. Yeah, so this is Psych Soup. Welcome to my research department, where I analyze and explore who and what I am and all the stuff that I've put into my head to psychoanalyze it. I am first and foremost a philosopher. So this is lifetime of philosophizing. Yeah. A lot to process. And every time I do one of these talks, I get a little bit clearer on where I'm going and on who I am. All right, I'm going to meditate now. All right, thank you very much for joining me. All my links are below. Visit me at www.honnesthealinggarden.com, .org. And you can design your own journey, put together your own healing path. That's available at the Healing Garden. And we also have a subscription available under the Witch's Corner, where you can go in and play and dabble along with the spirituality of it. So, and that's it, is there's the psych side, and then there's the spiritual side, and then there's bringing the consciousness. I really need to figure out a way to kind of condense all this. That's what I'm doing, is I'm structuring the garden in a simpler triadic. Which part of the triad do you want to focus on today? Because we have psychology, we have spirituality, and we have conscious awareness. So thank you very much for joining me. Links are below, and may the kindest of words always find you.